Sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's noon. And if it's Wednesday and noon, it's WMNF and 88.5 WMNF.org. And you're listening to The Conversation. I'm one of your two hosts. I'm Mario Nunez, and I'm always happy to be seated alongside my broadcast partner.
Hey, it's Joe King Carter right here.
I thought you were going to do hey.
Well, I got close.
You got close.
I got close. Hey.
Oh, Joey, it's always good to be here. I look so forward to Wednesdays, man. When I get up in the morning and I have that first cup of Joe, no pun intended. I have that first cup of coffee. It's I know that it's going to be a good day because I get to be in studio with you. So how you been, brother?
And
how was
studio at WMNF is rarefied air, and it's a pleasure to be here and to
Community
serve
radio
and help.
is the best.
It's the best.
Absolutely the best.
Absolutely.
How was your week?
My week was good. I just wanted to say that, we are in the throes of watching some heavy stuff go down, and it's difficult to watch, and it's all the more reason why you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump into fundraising immediately. Next week, we're going to be doing fundraising here, and I want to let you know that more than ever before, community public radio, radio that is funded by the community, is something that is very important to what is about to happen in our society. So please, folks, we are the new kids on the block. We're a relatively new show, and we want to know that we've got some love out there. And so we're going to be asking for money next week. We're warning you. But I tell you what, it's a glorious thing to give to, and it's a positive thing to give to. And we're going to ask you right now, today, before this show's over, if you're feeling good about it, go to WMNF.org, hit that donate orange button up in the right corner, and give a little love to the conversation under the promo code CON.
CON for conversation. Thank you, Joey. Right up front, we want to do that. And, the fundraising, it does happen 4 times a year, and it will happen next week, where all of our programming all day long is going to be dedicated to the Ask. But the nice part about it is we have 30 days prior to, day of,
That's
and
right.
30 days afterwards in which to meet our goals.
That's right.
And our goals are important because not only does it adds to the aggregate and it goes to the big kitty so that, all the high tide rises all boats.
That's right.
But we also have personal goals that they set upon us on this particular show. So we need to make those goals. And I'm sure we will. We did last fundraising drive,
Yes.
and we know that you guys are out there listening. So thank you.
And we have some great merch. It's all very positive, folks, in spite of the fact
The
that
merch gets better each and every time.
That's right.
I mean, we've got artists in our community. Of course, we are an arts radio station that appeals to the arts and artists. That's hard to say, Joey. That's a lot of... Yeah, and the microphone's very unforgiving. And this year's, this fundraising drives, I should say, shirt is spectacular. We got a sneak peek at it this morning before we went on the air. So,
very cool.
So before we go on and meet our guest today, who's patiently waiting for us, smiling, listening to us do this thing that we're doing. Hey, Westminster Kennel Club. Joey, I'm a big fan. I am a huge fan. I watch the show every year. I marvel at not only how many different breeds of canines there are,
Yes.
but also the whole passion play of the show itself.
Yes.
The handlers, the judges. It is really spectacular to watch.
It is. It's also for comedic relief. If you ever see Best of Show, the comedy, it's
Tremendous.
It's a great comedy. My ex-wife's family were all dog breeders, and so I got to go to kennel shows all the time. And I tell you what, you haven't lived until you've seen an English bulldog up close and personal. That is the Jabba the Hutt of dogs, and it's also really quite astounding what we've done with dogs in terms of breeding them in all these various subsets,
sizes, and different groupings.
Yes.
And so hats off this year to the giant Schnauzer. That won Best in Show.
Yeah.
And each year it's a different breed, and this one is spectacular. So
They're
for
great
those of
dogs.
you Schnauzer owners out there, congratulations, man.
I've known a couple of Schnauzers personally.
You've done it this year.
And they have a nice compatible wonderful, congenial personality and highly intelligent, by the way.
And their temperament is good, and they're a good-looking dog.
Yeah.
You know, they got those little whiskers there. Great job, Schnauzer.
I love dogs with beards.
So, and oh, by the way, I know we're on Facebook Live presently. So, if those of you that know where to find us, you can find us. We're simulcasting. Look for my page, Mario R. Nunez, and you can see and hear us in real time.
Yes.
So, Joe, we are so excited to have with us in studio today Celeste Roberts, and I want you to do the formal introduction.
Well,
spoiler alert, her name is Celeste Roberts.
Oh, well, thank you to give me that honor. It is Black History Month.
Yes.
And we have already featured some folks in here who are outstanding in the community as either black leaders or people involved in their community. And today it's my great honor to introduce Celeste Roberts. Good morning. Good afternoon, Celeste.
Good morning, good afternoon.
And good evening for those of you that will be, right?
Yeah. We come in here in the morning and we start the show in the afternoon, and it always confuses us. Yeah. Go. Yes. Yeah. It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, before we get to those projects that you are currently involved in that are having a huge impact in the community, by the way, let's talk a little bit about where you started in life and how you started.
All right. So I am from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
I have lived in Tampa for probably 29 years, or longer than I lived in Cleveland.
Okay.
So I feel like this is my home, my second home at least. And I grew up in public housing. I grew up in the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority in Cleveland, Ohio. That's where my family started. Mm-hmm. And then probably was there for about 6 years. Mm-hmm. And then my family moved into a middle class, and that's where, we kind of been since then. Large family, extremely large family.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and I have probably 100 cousins.
It's where the cousins come into the numbers starts to get a little bit.
Yeah, and so, but we're all super close.
Oh, that's
so we
nice.
all were raised together, and all of them are in Cleveland, Ohio, except for one. I'm here, and then I have a cousin that lives in Houston. Outside of that, everyone.
So they're still tolerating that winter. They're still tolerating that lake effect snow coming off.
Right now, it's in the teens. So
wow,
it's
grateful to be here.
So that means you're kind of the renegade. You kind of branched out a little bit. What happened there?
I think outside the box a little bit.
Okay. Well, we like that.
Actually, it's an interesting story. So I arrived in Tampa because my husband came here, and he started a beeper store, a pager store.
Really?
Right out of college. He went to FAMU. And him and a couple of other friends, they started Better Beepers. And they opened up 8 stores here across the Tampa Bay area. And that's how I got here.
Wow.
From an entrepreneur coming to start a beeper store.
Wow. Well,
store.
why would you have a beeper when you can have a better beeper?
That's right. Well, Joey, you said it best. I mean, there's no improving that.
I'll do that.
That should have been on the poster. That should have been on the business card.
So you come to Tampa, but something happened in there that was different. Let me ask you before we get to you coming to Tampa, about growing up in the setting you grew up in this in
the housing projects.
Housing projects. What was that? How did that affect you?
Lessons learned there.
You know what? Here's an interesting thing. So society would say that if you're in public housing that you're poor, right? That's societal. That. Definition. But my life was so rich because of my family and the activities and the things that we did. When my mom bought a home and we moved, I thought we were poor because I was not getting my allowance.
Oh, really?
So for me, I was right. So a child's experience
could not go to the store and get those Jolly Ranchers.
Right, exactly. Right.
So in the new, was the house kind of in the suburbs, kind of thing?
Just middle class.
Yeah. But the other
kids
kids had allowances, and you weren't getting one, and that.
Well, it wasn't even about the other kids. In our household, we received allowance every 2 weeks
for doing your chores or whatever.
Right.
Whatever was required of you.
Right, and so moving into a home and my mom buying a home, that was different. The money went for the home, right?
I see.
That ate up that extra resource.
Yes, exactly. So, but we didn't get well, let me speak for myself. I did not get mine.
Oh.
And so I thought, well, what is happening around here? You poor? I can't get my allowance. I'm doing my chores and
making good grades. I'm doing my part.
All of that. But it was just a great experience for me. So I think I am very rich in values and traditions.
Right.
There were great things around us. So again, I didn't experience like not having food or clothes. That wasn't my experience or my family's experience. My mother made a way out of no way. So I didn't experience that.
Right.
The YWCA in our community was great. The YMCA for my brothers, and then the YWCA for my sisters. We went to camp. We traveled. Every opportunity that my mom could take advantage of, we did. So our life was set in a routine based on strong family values. We went camping as a whole family. So imagine my family would rent a bus,
right,
a 56 passenger, my family, and then we would all get on the bus, right?
Wow.
And the wheels on that bus did go round and round,
right.
didn't
so
they?
So we would do different Niagara Falls, Cedar Point, Geauga Lake.
Hey, that doesn't sound like a bad upbringing experience at all.
To me, when I look back and
you got your cousins with you?
And today we're all close-knit.
As a result.
Because of that. And the values that my mom and her siblings and my grandparents instilled in us is still with me today, and it drives every decision that I make.
Celeste, in that group, in that rather handsomely large group, where were you in the age order of things? Because either you were in the upper side where you might have a leadership role in that, and that taught you those leadership skills, or you might have been on the younger side so that you're taking the orders, but you're still part of the team.
I'm in the middle.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I have always just been my own person,
right?
In a sense. So no matter where I fit, I always just play the role of.
You got in where you fit in, and those people in the middle there like that, they actually develop a whole different, unique and useful skill set because they know how to navigate with the managers, the top brass, and they also know how to keep the little ones close by too. So that's a whole different skill set.
Yeah. Yeah,
well, sounds like you had fun.
I had fun, and I had my brother is passed, but I had a twin. I have a twin. Let me rephrase that.
Yes.
This is my first time this is my first interview being able to say that. He passed in October
we're so sorry.
Of last year. But we were,
twins.
Yeah. And twins run in my family. So we have in Cleveland.
We read that 30 sets or something like that?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Wow.
Yeah. And 23 of those are in Cleveland. The others are our ancestors.
So those family reunions got to be awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of folks looking alike is all I'm saying.
Actually, no, because none of them are identical.
Really? They're all fraternal twins?
All fraternal
really?
twins.
That's got to be some kind of record. Have you checked with Guinness? Have you checked with Guinness?
We haven't, but it's interesting. Yeah,
they're fraternal instead of identical.
Yeah.
Still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you had this. Growing up in this kind of setting, instead of the kind of story that we so often hear, you had this sort of gift of this foundational structure to grow from, which is really a gift. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, it was, and. I think my mom was a great role model. So I think about who are role models, and I had plenty within my life, but I think my mother probably was my strongest role model that I saw on a daily basis. Her kindness for other people, her work ethic, the love that she showed her family. She just made it work. Yeah.
So you go through high school, and did you go to college there in the area?
University of Akron.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't bury the lead, Joey. Don't bury the lead. Was she? Because we know who Celeste is now.
Right.
But these things that you become later in life, they start early. If you're in junior high, you're probably part of student council. If you're in high school, you might be a majorette or a cheerleader, some leadership role. So I'd like to know more about that because you've got a beautiful smile, and obviously you don't mind being in front of folks. So talk to us.
Well, in middle school, I was honor roll. I was, in a student council.
Student government, sure.
Yeah. Played basketball, volleyball, ran track. Did the same in high school. I always had good grades, so that was not a issue.
And the athletic ability came to you naturally?
Because of my family.
Yeah.
So we played volleyball at a very young age. My family together, everyone. You can
Had plenty there to make 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting down, but I am 5'10".
Yes, you are.
And I am short in my family.
Wow.
So my family played basketball and volleyball were our 2 sports.
Right.
Some individuals ran track, but those were our 2 sports that my family.
And when those kids all get together, you got to keep them busy somehow.
Well, all you do is roll the ball out there.
You know,
and the
not
rest
many
takes care of
families
itself.
have their own teams, separate teams.
Sounds to me like they had 3 or 4.
Yeah, right.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I needed to set that precedent because I knew this was in your profile. I mean, we didn't know until just now.
Yeah.
But I had a sense that it was in your profile.
So when you're in college, you have not yet met your future husband.
No.
And what was the plan then, if there was one, for the future?
Well,
Other than to get your degree, was there some?
Yeah. Did you have a direction?
There really wasn't. You know, I had so I always thought just because of my skill set, just because of what, people will say about you, like as a kid growing up and those things.
Oh,
right?
she's this. Oh, she's that.
Yeah, so I always knew I would be in business somehow, but I never thought I would be like an entrepreneur, starting something, right? I just knew that I liked to minister, to lead, like to think outside the box, to engage people.
Did you have the lemonade stand, Celeste? Come on, did you have
I did not.
Did you go door to door with Girl Scout cookies?
Never thought about it. Actually, the person who really encouraged me was my husband. And so I met him after we graduated from college. I went to University of Akron. He went to FAMU. When we returned back to Cleveland is when we met. And then I moved down here with him. And he would say, I'm in the non-for-profit space. So when I came here, I worked for United Way of Hillsborough County. So you can see how United Way is now United Way of Suncoast, 5 counties. But I worked for the one in Hillsborough County. And it was a great experience to set the foundation for me as to the direction I would take, how I could learn about the non-for-profit space. And now I've been in that space for over 30 years. But it really was my husband to say, you need to just step out on your own, step out on your faith and see what you can do with it. When I left United Way, I went to go work for the Boys and Girls Club of Tampa Bay. And it was for a very specific collaborative nature. There was a collaborative with 5 non-for-profits here. So it was the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Urban League, CDC of Tampa, the Career Source in Hillsborough County, so 6. And it was a big federal grant that had come down. It was an amazing program, and being a non-for-profit for such a very long time in different roles. This particular role as a project director for the Boys and Girls Club, so there was project directors for each organization. It was just mind-blowing how exciting it was to implement this grant, to see the effects of the grant.
See the effects in the community.
In the community with the children, sure.
Right.
How it was changing lives.
Right.
Like I could see that we were doing great work. And it allowed us to think outside the box, and that probably is like I think outside the box. So it was just an inspiring place to be where we had an outcome, and however we worked it to get there was up to us as our community versus someone telling you need to do this, 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 and that to get to the outcome. But it ended because it was federal, and when that, I think we were crushed because we knew that we were on to something. But none of the organizations continued that particular program because the funding was gone for it. So that is when my husband said, you need to step out on faith and do something.
Do something on your own.
Do something on my own.
Yeah.
When did that end, Celeste? When did that funding
end?
end?
2005. Yeah.
Trying to think whose administration that was. I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and segue.
Yeah.
We find ourselves there again, right? Because all of those wonderful organizations that do so much for those people that need so much are under attack again. I digress.
Yeah. And so again, it was, I think my personality is things can happen, but I don't let things happen to me. And what I mean by that is things can happen. The money could go away. What do we do now? Like, it's not acceptable to do nothing, right? For me, it's how do we find a way? Like,
as Michelle Obama said, do something.
Do something. Right?
So wait a minute. There's a T-shirt line right there. Well, it's not acceptable to do nothing. And that's a great line.
And as I hear Celeste telling her story, and it's a wonderful story that you can just you can feel where she came from. You can feel how she got to where she is. What she said about her mother's existence and raising the children the way she did, make a way out of no way. Yes. This stuck with you, obviously, because you've faced no way before, and you've overcome. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. And then from there, it was 3 of us that had participated in this federal program. Mm-hmm. We just said, okay, we're going to step out on faith, and this would be our side gig. We would go on with our life. I went on to do consulting work for a little while, and then on the side, I was creating the Skills Center, and that federal program was $24 million for our community. We didn't have $24 million. So we just said what was very unique within the programs that we delivered. And it was really the sports-based youth development component. Because it was our biggest recruitment tool strategy and also the engagement piece. We used sports to hook kids, to bring them in. And once we got them in, then we gave them all the services that we know that they needed. We supported them academically, life skills, leadership skills, all of the career pathways. So prepping for college, vocational training, military, employment. And it was very individualized. And that's probably was the biggest difference.
What you were most proudest of, I would assume.
And it's individualized. What I mean by that is that when a group of kids come in, so say you two came in, I would not give you the same thing, right? I would assess you to
that would be wise,
what is it that Joe need, right? And then we're setting him a plan for Joe to get him to a career pathway. Right?
And Mario's needs could be completely
different, right? So that's the uniqueness of this program, and I think that is the reason why it works so well. So, again, there's a lot of organizations do amazing things, but when we can individualize it down to what is it that a young person need, we can help them and their family better than just putting everyone. If you do not need tutoring, I do not need to put you into tutoring.
Correct.
Right? So it's those types of things. If something is happening in your home, then we need to address what's happening in your home. It might not be happening in another person's home.
So that intake and that initial assessment when you get to meet the child, boys and girls, is critical.
It's critical.
And those people that are doing that are critical part of your staff and your team. Is there training that goes into that as well?
Most definitely. Yeah. And we call them youth development specialists.
There you go.
And really that's a key part of, that's the part that we kept. So when I go back and think, it's been 18 years. This month will be 18 years for the Skills Center. When I go back and look at that, we really have reimagined this program, the federal program called Youth Opportunity. And we have created a space to bring this all into one area located on 22nd Street in the heart of East Tampa.
Beautiful building.
And so we're just reimagining. We're taking all the components of it, and we have reimagined it to make it work, to bring it back. And the reason why we brought it back, well, we knew it was successful, but those young people now are, so the program ended in 2005. They're 38, 39, 40.
Right.
They're thriving.
Right.
They're not in poverty. I stock these kids. They are traveling all around the world. Their kids have passports.
Well, it's research.
Do they come back and say thank you and give back?
So their kids are in the Skills Center now.
Right.
So we're able to see.
Generational.
So we're able to see young people from back then come in with their children and feel comfortable to bring their kids back to us. And so it's amazing. And we had been waiting for someone else to do it. So I said, when someone bring back Youth Opportunity, then we're going to jump into it. And we've been waiting for such a long time. And it really was seeing those young people now as adults, and then really just noticing that the data has not gotten better for our kids. So we had to do something. So
well, that explains the beautiful smile on your face, because it is a rewarding endeavor. And to see this now come to fruition and the kids coming back and their kids coming back, it's got to be spectacular. Let's do a little station identification. When we get on the other side of that, I'll give everybody the phone number, the email address in case you'd like to join us here on the conversation. If you've got a question, comment, or you'd just like to call in and congratulate Celeste, we'd like to hear from you.
Hi, I'm Leroy Staley, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5 FM, Tampa, Florida.
And the big man.
That's right. The great Leroy Staley, who was with us last week. We really enjoyed that conversation.
He was great to be with
Staley. And so listen, if you'd like to join us here, let me give you that number right now. It's 813-239-9663. You can send us a text, 813-433-0885. We also take emails. And Jessica's at the board, and she will be happy to read those emails when they come in. DJ@WMNF.org. Operators are standing by.
I just want to say, I love the idea. It's coincidentally last week when we had Mr. Staley on the show, we talked a little bit about the Boys Club. We all three of us sort of lapsed into romancing the stone a little bit about it, and we talked about our days in that era of our lives when we were boys. And, you know, what's interesting is that Mario and I make interesting partners because Mario is such a fan. The word fan comes from fanatical. He's such a fan of sports that it's in his molecular DNA. I was a kid growing up that could have cared less about sports.
Okay.
So I just had no meaning to me.
Yeah.
And so... but I did care about art and creation. I'm a creative person. Yeah. And so when I went to the Boys Club, if they had never had an arts program, I probably would have not gone back.
Right.
But I went there and I started to do all these art projects that weren't available in my school. And by the way, looking back on it, they had a teacher that was a really good art teacher. And I would just like crave going to the Boys Club. Now, while I was there, I would bump into some baseball and I'd bump into
some Foursquare or some dodgeball,
I'd bump into some games and I'd play games. I'm not saying that I was that anti-American. But, you know, it wasn't really my thing. A little bumper pool. But I loved going there and going to the arts and crafts area of so it really pleases me deeply, profoundly, that this is your approach to sort of customize the intake into the needs of those individuals, because you're going to have kids who don't like sports.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And our facility is not just sports. It's really just the foundation of it. So we use sports as a medium.
Sure.
Art was the medium for you. Dance can be it for someone else, right? And so where we're at today is that we offer the arts through collaboration. I think one of the things, the biggest opportunity we have in the city of Tampa is the opportunity to collaborate, to really look at all the assets that we have in our community and how to bring it to bear on one common goal. And that common goal for me and for the Skills Center is upward economic mobility. And so if we all could just do what we do well and lend that to this mission, we could have all of the services that we need so that kids can come in and partake of it. I think what's important is that the Boys and Girls Club or the Boys Club was able to get you in the door through the arts.
Yes.
Right? And then after that, you experience other things.
Of course.
Right? And that's the same thing. It's the same concept. You need something to get kids.
And also, I think kids also, when I say kids from almost any age, they kind of, no matter how great their family foundation is, like yours was, they need a space where they get away from the mom and dad, and they get away from the family, and they get away from the world, and they get away from the school, and they just go and be on their own, kind of exploring. I remember
adventuring.
I remember going to the Boys Club, and I would go in the building and just, you know, I don't know if this could even happen today, but I would just walk around and look at things and figure out, well, that's what that is. Okay. Right. And it was like an intriguing place for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when I think about young people, especially the kids that we work with, the social capital, right? Like some kids don't have that, where other kids and young people have the ability within their circles to have that social part. So to be able to come into a space, a youth development space, right, and just be who you are, learn as much as you can, be mentored, because I think the other part of that is when we're in our homes, we only know what's in our home. It is too when we have exposure, is when the light bulb goes off, when we start to think and be curious about different things, different people, different careers, and all of that. That comes to us from exposure. And so it's important for kids to have a space that encourages them, motivate them, push them, correct them, support them overall. And
Absolutely.
Good development.
You have a pretty dynamic staff over there at the Skills Center. And for those of you that don't know where the Skills Center is, give us the address, Celeste.
It's 5107 North 22nd Street.
And
right
for those,
next to Middleton.
Right next to Middleton, just south of Hillsboro. So if you get to Hillsboro and 22nd Street, for the old Dampeños that are listening out there, that's where the old Sears building used to be. That's where the Irwin Center is now. Just turn south on 22nd Street there. And on the east side of the road, it's a beautiful, gorgeous building. You can't miss it. And everybody really should kind of go by there and check it out.
Yeah, and I would say that it is the old East Lake Bowling Alley. Back then when Sears was there, and done a little research, and then it's been the Stardust skating rink. It was the Olympia skating rink, and then it was a Christmas tree distribution.
You know, I'm surprised that, you have the 3 basketball courts there, which are spectacular. I'm surprised there isn't a little corner over there that you might have just done for nostalgia purposes, a little roller skating area.
So actually...
Okay, you going to break news? Come on.
So the area, we have an open area, and we had skating in there.
There you go.
Yeah, so, we have to think about it, right, as we ramp up, open, move in, get all of our programs up and running. We really have thought about all the different things that can happen within the space. And so while you see 3 basketball courts, there are also volleyball courts, and there's 9 pickleball courts inside of that 3 basketball courts.
A little bit of dodgeball comes to mind.
Right. So it's a variety of different
square
things.
dancing. I mean, you can do anything.
You can do anything
You can do
in there.
line dancing, cheering, cheerleading.
Definitely. And then we have a 7,000 square feet event space. In that event space, we can do anything within that space. So we introduce kids to sports. We have line dancing. So we do have adult fitness in our facility in the morning times and in the evening times when our building is not being utilized. And so when I left, line dancing was happening when I left the building today. But we have boot camps and step aerobics, and we have a fitness center, a boutique fitness center inside of that. And so while we use that, we bring health and fitness for young people, we also are trying to bring it to the community to allow our building to be utilized in that
fully.
way.
Completely. Talk a little bit about the computer lab that you have there. It's pretty spectacular as well.
Yeah, and so we thought, as we think about exposure is so big, we really do need to introduce our kids to high-paying careers. So they look at the room maybe as a esports room. We look at the room as career development and exposure. So the goal is to teach the young people the careers behind the things that they like. So inside this room is esports, is where our audio booth is. We have other gaming systems inside of that, virtual reality, digital content creation. We're working on augmented reality and AI. We have coding and robotics. So all of that is in there to engage them so that they can learn in real time.
The
possibilities and the careers behind who developed all of that, right? Those are careers behind that. So most of the time our kids see themselves as the player in a sport or in esports or anything like that.
But how about the general manager? How about the owner?
Right. All of the careers behind that. Who is writing that? Who's providing the music, the graphic design behind that? Who's selling that? Who's all of the marketing behind that? All of the careers. And how to monetize it if you are going to be a player.
The key.
How to monetize
There's
it
the key.
as well.
And that's what you mentioned earlier, that's been the thrust of the Skills Center, and everything that you've led up to this is that upward mobility. You want to give kids the opportunity to be exposed to things that they might not be exposed to otherwise.
Correct.
So what is this? Let's go backwards a little bit and talk about the schedule.
Okay.
When the Skills Center is, you mentioned when it started, but let's talk about its history
18 years ago.
Yeah. So it's been 18 years this month.
So it started in a little shack out in the back, kind of a thing.
Really, when that program ended in 2005, we took 2 years to really set the foundation. Again, my background is United Way, so I know you can't.
Did you have the building then?
No. We had no building.
Okay.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, that's the stuff I want to,
However, I would say that space, the building itself, that's the space we always wanted. So in 2007, we said, this is the space that we need to...
This is the location.
This is the location that we need, right? And so, and the reason, because it sits in the community, it is the model that we were trying to implement requires you to be next to a major road. It sits between I-4 and 275. We serve the entire county. And so we always wanted that from the very beginning.
Accessibility.
We had no idea of how to get that building. We just knew we wanted it then.
Talk about the evolution of that, because it's interesting. I've done the research.
Yeah, so...
persistence paid off, did it not, Celeste?
It did. So basically for 14 years, we operated in schools, and then we leased a building on Sly and 275. Mm-hmm. And that Sly and 275 was just for 4 years. So really, we were operating through partnerships with the school district and the city of Tampa. So we were in some parks and recs. And we implemented our programs. And I think along the way, we were learning. Like, we knew how to run the program. How do we run a business, right? Because that wasn't any of our backgrounds. I created the Skill Center with Chris Ward and John Arroyo. And none of us had a business per se. My University of Akron did give me something to help me. I got my bachelor's in business administration. Mm-hmm. But I really never feel like I was utilizing it. And then it all just kicked in when we started the Skill Center.
Oh, this is why I have this.
It came back. Yeah. But, we, let's see, when was it? It was 2020, COVID. COVID.
What a year that was.
Yeah.
The lost year, as it were.
That's the year we decided we were going to buy a building. We were going to reimagine youth opportunity. And if so, we needed a building. And if we were going to sustain our organization, we needed to own our building. The building that we were in, that we were leasing, was from a church, and the church wanted their building back. And so it was a terrible feeling to have to leave a space that you had created and, decorated and all of that. And, I look back at that and I was, sad, angry, had all kind of emotions of that. But I always believe I walk by faith. God had a bigger plan for us. And so we just set out to get it done. And I really couldn't even go back to tell you what we did not know. We found the person that knew, right? Mm-hmm. So if we did not know something, then, right. But we talked about what we wanted to create. And then we were off to raise the money that we needed. And this was really the first time we raised $28 million for this endeavor. It cost $25.5 million.
No small feat. No small feat. And we say this on the show quite often because we find that in our conversations with our guests, as varied and creative as that group is, that ensemble is, that we can go back and quote James Earl Jones' famous line now from the movie just jumped out of my head. Forgive me, when he says, if you build it, they will come. People will come, Ray. People will most definitely come. So you guys had to kind of see it before you could, conceive it in your mind's eye before it actually came to fruition. Definitely. Once you got it underway, right? Once you got it underway, then the players started to show up. Yeah. The people you needed started to show up.
That might be the field of dreams.
It is. Thank you, Joey. Sometimes it just gets there, and then you can't access it.
I get
you know what I mean? It's in the back there.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Listen to my guy who's a non-sports guy come up with Field of Dreams.
I love that film.
Thank you, Kevin Costner.
I love that film.
It's a great movie. Thank you.
So obviously the building had to be for sale.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Now the story gets good.
So you had the intention. You had made the intention.
Well, we had we made it. Well, so we had a certain
share whatever you're comfortable with. I'm curious.
Yeah. We had a certain amount of time, and we had to leave the building we were in. Right. And so we had offers of other people offering us space, but it was not in a city. Right, and we wanted to be in East Tampa. We wanted to be in the city, in the heart of the city. And so the building was not for sale. We called the owner, and we just said we were interested in buying this building. This is what we would like to create for it. Would you be interested in it? And he said, only if you take the building behind the building as well. Oh. And we said, we're not interested in that building. And we're like, well, you can't have it. You have to take both. And so then we were out to say, okay, let's figure it out. What value would that bring us? And actually, our whole deal would not had not worked if we did not have the building in the back.
You needed that land. You needed that space.
And it's 13 small businesses, actually. It's a warehouse. It's 13 small businesses that's in that space. And it automatically, once we bought it, it automatically changed the structure of the Skill Center. our ability to do more because we had assets automatically.
Oh, you had collaborative partners
we had
as well.
Funding coming in
there you
automatically.
Go. Yeah.
And so it just changed everything for us. So now we were off. We had the building in the back. We didn't have to do anything with that. It's not what we do. So we hired a property manager to manage that part, and then we focused in the building in the front. The building
And you checked, of course, your bank account every month to make sure that the rent was in there every month to give you that little bit that you needed to push off.
Right. And that really does. I mean, it helps us to be able. It helped us to be able to get the other things that we were eligible for, right? So we can go to a bank and say, "This is our vision." No, thank you, because you have no collateral.
Correct.
Right. Or just in talking to individuals, but we were able to tap into all types of funding for this project, and it's probably one of the things that I'm most proud of. We didn't ask one rich person, right, just to give us money to buy the property.
Now, is there somewhere on the property, somewhere in the building, a little plaque, a little commemorative, something in the corner office somewhere, thanking this person or this person's name somewhere in there? Can we do something because that was what really got you to where you are.
Yeah. So
that deal when it came to fruition.
Yeah. So I think for the 14 years we really had never had a major fundraiser. We didn't raise our money that way. We raised our money through grants to offer our services, and then we offer some fee-based programs based on families' ability to pay. That really, we got corporations and donations, but we really never thought about having a fundraiser, which sounds weird because we're a non-for-profit. You got to raise money. We just didn't. We hadn't.
Not even a spaghetti dinner. Nothing.
Nothing. We didn't do that.
Fish fry. Nothing.
No.
Okay.
No. And what we did when we did have those things like that, it was for like kids to go to
needs.
something
very specific. Take a trip or something.
Right, something like that. But we really did just step out on faith, and then we started to rely first on our reputation and our relationships to go and say, this is the vision that we want to see. And just, we had our business case and all of that, and we were off and running. And so we wind up raising the amount that we did, but it's through a variety of different sources. So we have federal, we have state, we have county, city, CRA. We have new market tax credits. We did raise money through philanthropic donations as well.
And every little bit helps because every little bit goes to the bottom line.
Yeah. And we have our building today.
Do we have a wish list going forward? I mean, as we come to almost the top of the hour here, we don't want to. So we've given you the background. We've brought everybody up to speed on what is happening presently at the Skills Center.
Yeah.
What's a wish list for Celeste around the corner that maybe you still have a pressing need?
Oh, I have two.
Okay. All right. Share them with us.
The first is transportation. So
we need that bus. We need a bus.
Yeah. We need
a boys club, girls club bus.
Yes, we need a shuttle and a van, and we're working on a van. And then the reason for that is we can get more kids to us if we can go and go farther out.
Go get them.
Go get them and bring them in.
Absolutely.
So that's been our biggest. We've been open since June. And so we've really been trying out our building, learning the building, really trying to get everything set up and running, right? And it's been a learning experience for us, but that's one thing that we need. The other thing that we're looking for the organization really is donations around improving the functionality of the space, in a sense. And so what does that look like? So when I think about the building and it's those things that you thought about, things that you didn't think about, but now that you live in it, you're like, oh, I wish I had.
I need that in the bathroom. Right? I need that towel rack. I need that towel rack. Right.
So it's the little things like that we need throughout the facility. But to be honest with you, the biggest way that anyone can help us is through transportation. That's what we're looking for.
All right, community. You've got your orders. If you'd like to help out, reach out to the Skills Center. Go by there and see it. I think that would really, really enhance everyone's connection to the space.
Yeah.
And as functions come up, and do you advertise, for example, if you're having a competition there, how do people get to know? Do you have a Facebook page? All the media, social media platforms.
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then we have our website, theskillscenter.org.
Skills Common Spelling, SKILLS.
Yep.
.org. So, I would be remiss. I need to mention it because we were just together on Saturday to commemorate the life of our dear, dear friend Ricky Gallen, who was instrumental in helping you kind of coordinate the effort. If it's not too much to ask, speak to Ricky's legacy and to what he meant to the Skills Center.
Yeah, I mean, so I work with Ricky. I met Ricky, I don't know, it's probably been 30 years.
Boys and Girls Clubs.
At the Boys and Girls Club is when we met. Just an amazing human being and such a dynamic person in the youth development field. Always kept in contact with him. We remained friends after I left, and it's just heartbreaking to see or to know that he's no longer here. However,
in that physical sense.
In a physical sense. But I'll say that when he retired, he said, Celeste, I want to come over to the Boys and Girls Club. I said, Ricky, we'll love to have you at the Boys and Girls Club. And his relationship, his reputation, it's just, you don't find too many people that's like that anymore. And what he did for us, I'll go back and say, he came to us, I think it was maybe like 6 months he was with us, 6 or 7 months before his passing. And really, I knew him, Chris, Rhonda, Keon. There's a group of us that work for the Boys and Girls Club. So it was exciting to have him come because we feel like the team was back together again, right, in a sense.
And you had your center.
Right. But the rest of our staff, he developed a relationship with each of them. And so in his passing, we thought we were going to have it hard, the four of us, because we've known him. And our whole staff had a hard time because he had made each of them feel special. He had learned something about them, and he would engage with each of them over this small period of time. And so for the organization, just a great loss for us.
Sure.
But he has, I think one of the things, on Saturday, what we said, that he has left a value, something about him that everyone carries with them in a sense, right? And so our goal is to try to bring into our space all that love, that kindness that he extended to us and how we extended to other people. And then work-wise, how he developed partnerships, like what I took away from him, the way that he would engage people, the way he made them feel, the way that he said thank you in a way. So it was never like an afterthought of him just saying thank you. He was always just so gracious. And so we are so honored that we had the opportunity to have him work with us.
I want to put an idea into your head and see you run it by the board and see if you can get a little bit of funding for it. It won't take a lot, but I think you should have a big, like a goblet or some kind of a big glass on the jar on the desk there when people come to sign in with the little bracelets that the little rubberized bracelets that everybody wears, and it would have the initials WWRD. Right? What would Ricky do? Right? What would Ricky do in this situation, right? And if you think, and if that's familiar, because most everybody knows that as what would Jesus do, and it wouldn't be too much of a stretch because he was so Jesus-like.
Oh, most definitely.
He was so kind and so giving and so soft-spoken. A man who was 7 feet tall and could bring it and could flat bring it to be that kind and and he was this natural leadership just oozed from every pore in his body. So I say this, I say this, he never had, I don't believe he had a natural enemy, number one.
Yeah.
And I said it lovingly when I spoke Saturday at the event. I don't know that Ricky was necessarily from here. I don't know that we realized who we had walking among us, because he was an angel, really and truthfully, in the form of a 7-foot black man.
Right.
But I think we honor his legacy by continuing to be like him as much as we can. And I don't think there's anybody that can be, because that's one thing I asked Staley. Staley, did you ever see Ricky get angry? I mean, and all the times he caught elbows on the court and, the banging around, did you ever see him get angry? He told me, he said one time when Coach Clay at Jefferson told him to muscle up on him at practice, and even at that time, he turned to Staley and looked at him like, what are you doing? You're my pal. What are you? But Ricky was such a dynamic and giving and kind person that, and he brought a group of us in there 3 weeks before he passed to show off the facility he was so proud of. And, but we can keep his legacy alive through us.
Most definitely.
And we will.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, probably at the base of his family life, as it is with yours, what I see is, where is the space in our society for compassion today? Yeah. That's really what it's about. And what I see is we need more compassion in more places for our society, for young people, for old people, for people that are being forgotten or neglected. And that's what I'm hearing in all of this, which really pleases me so much, is the Skills Center is this place where ultimately, yes, you're offering all of these outreach programs, but it's really about compassion toward others.
It is.
It's Boys and Girls Club 3.0.
Yeah.
You know, it's next gen. Boy, the same experiences and feelings you had at the Boys Club, you can certainly feel when you walk in the building at the Skills Center, except that they have a computer lab. We didn't have anything like that. We had bumper pool.
And do you because we haven't touched on this real quick before the end of the show, do you have staff, I understand, but do you have volunteers there? How does that work?
We do. So we probably wouldn't be able to do what we do without volunteers. So we use about 80 to 90 volunteers a year at the Skills Center.
Wow.
And you can go to our website if you'd like to volunteer. And volunteering not just in sports, because there's so much more than sports in our facility. So we focus on that academic support. We also focus around health and fitness, and then workforce readiness, like to be ready. So if you're not sure what you want to do or you're not sure how to get there, like we help through that. Life skills, leadership skills, social and emotional, financial literacy. Like, think back of at a time, like the things you wanted to know. That's the way I think about it. The things I wanted to know as a young person. Those are the things we making sure that young people have access to.
Excellent.
Right? Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
What a terrific hour this has been. We knew Celeste was going to come with the good stuff. We just didn't know how good it was going to be.
Yeah.
Celeste, wonderful for you to come in and share this hour with us. And we would like to extend the invitation that, somewhere down the road, if you've got a big event or you just want to give us an update on what the Skills Center has been able to accomplish since you've been here today, please reach out to us. And we promise also to not be strangers at the Skills Center. If we can come by there and lend whatever we can lend, whatever we can give, we'll be part of your volunteer corps.
Please do,
because it's a worthwhile and it's an exciting time. What you're doing in the community is priceless.
Well, I didn't know until today Celeste's middle name,
which is
Celeste. Think outside of the box, Roberts. Because she said think outside of the box
about 12 times.
About 12 times, yeah.
And but it's in her core. But that's what she learned. And listen, she doesn't get to where she is unless she thought outside.
That's
the box.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So Celeste, thank you. You want to give a shout out to anybody out there that might be listening? Anybody owe you money? You want to call on that?
Well, I'm going to say to my staff.
There you go.
Right, to the staff at the Skills Center and all our collaborative partners who are trying to make it happen. I think each day we get up and our goal is how can we make young people's lives better, and then how can we help them to get to the place they want to be where they can thrive. And so I thank all youth development organizations for being a part of working and caring about our kids in our community.
This is what we so need in our community.
That's the great Celeste Roberts, y'all. And you can find her Monday through Friday at the Skills Center. Yeah. If you can't get over there, give her a call for sure. Joey, what a rewarding show this has been. Listen, we're off to a great start. Okay, Black History Month and us, we're getting along just fine. This is working out fine. Now, next week, remember, we're going to be asking you for a little bit of money. Now, don't feel bad.
Right.
But we want to include you in our circle of friends.
But you can spend your money here no matter what.
Yeah, listen, if you go to Culver's and you get a number one over there, it's going to cost you $12.50.
That's right.
Why don't you just throw that at us, and we'll take that each and every month.
And by the way, she illustrated today what can happen when funding drops, when funding is taken out of the equation because and a new administration says, we're not going to give you any money. So, folks, keep in mind that if you are listening to WMNF and it's become an important part of your life, we need to help out a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to wrap our arms around each other, and we're going to get through this. It's good. It might be a little bit of a challenge because it's coming at us fast and furious. But listen, goodness and light will always prevail. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Okay, I like that.
There you go.
Listen, ring a little bell. Go ahead, Joy. What you got?
Well, as always, special thanks today to Jessica G, the OG.
Who's that?
She's our board operator.
Did she read any emails
She's
today?
magnificent.
Is she still there?
Yeah, she's
Jessica, say hello so they know you're here. Oh, she doesn't have the mic on.
But she's there. She has to be there. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing. Also, special thanks to filling in today, Tim Schroyer, by the way.
There
Thanks,
he is.
Tim.
Hey, Tim. Thanks, sir.
And then also coming up, the wonderful, the amazing Jim Bannon.
He's going to be here in just a couple of minutes.
He's going to be here in a moment, the governor of Grooves.
Celeste, you need anything, you call on us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're grateful for you being here today.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week when we'll be asking for your money because we need that money. You're listening to WMNF Tampa. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Take care.